Because I think there's something a lot of people don't realize. We only have so much cognitive abilities. We only have so much brain power or willpower to take on a certain amount of load in life at a time. You ever feel overwhelmed? You ever feel stressed out? You ever feel burnt out? Most of the time it's because we're taking on too much. Our brains have a finite cognitive ability that we could put towards the willpower that it takes to study or to take on responsibilities. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the Young Electrician Podcast. My name is Ruben Young, aka the Young Electrician. This is the career building podcast for the electrical apprentice and journeyman that know that they're capable of much more and want to thrive in their career. Let's hop into it. Let me ask you a question. If I could give you a 90-day proven system for passing the journeyman exam, would you be able to do it? Would you be able to take a proven system, complete it, and pass your journeyman exam in 90 days? Well, we're going to find out today. If you listen to the end of this episode, you are going to know the 90-day proven system that I've seen people pass the exam with, that I passed the exam with, the same techniques. You're going to know them if you listen to the end of this podcast. So let's hop into it. Let me ask you this. What is the number one reason why people fail their exams? Because a lot of people fail. I think it's like almost half of the people that take their exam fail it the first time, including myself. Why do people fail their exam? We fail for lack of structure. We fail because we fail to structure our time and manage it properly. The journeyman exam is a time management test. If you don't learn to manage your time when you're studying, you're not going to be able to manage it when you're taking the actual exam. So how do you learn to manage your time while you're studying? Well, you have to be in control. And I want to be very clear right now, because I think there's something a lot of people don't realize. We only have so much cognitive abilities. What do I mean by that? We only have so much brain power or willpower to take on a certain amount of load in life at a time. You ever feel overwhelmed? You ever feel stressed out? You ever feel burnt out? Most of the time it's because we're taking on too much. Our brains have a finite cognitive ability. And it's a bit outside of my field of expertise, but I know a little bit about this because I enjoy YouTube and watching podcasts and stuff like that, and people talking about different ways to study, different ways that the brain works in regards to studying or goal setting and things of that nature. But we only have a finite amount of energy that we could put towards the willpower that it takes to study or to take on responsibilities. That's why when I'm talking about managing your time or deciding what days you're going to study, how long you're going to study, what you're going to study, when I'm talking about structuring your study time and how you're going to study, I'm always limiting it to a few days a week. Maybe 3 days, maybe 4 days a week. Why? Because you have a life. You work a job. You probably have a family. You probably have responsibilities outside of work. And as much as it would benefit any one of us to have an unlimited amount of time to study, it's just not the case. It's just not the case. You don't have an unlimited amount of time to study unless you're off work. If you're off work, if you're out for whatever reason, then you should be using that time as much as you could to study, but still not so much that it's going to overwhelm you and burn you out. Because this is what happens. Somebody goes, they start studying, and they realize like, hey, this ain't that bad. I'm going to study tomorrow, and I'm going to study the next day, and they keep doing it. And now it's like 3 weeks in, and they're studying every day after work. That might work for those 3-4 weeks, but you're going to hit a bump in the road, and that's going to come crumbling down. Because it's not a system. You're doing it because you feel like doing it. It feels good to study. It feels like you got a hold on this thing. But what happens when something changes and you don't feel good about it anymore? Because when the feelings go away, you need to be able to rely on your systems. When our discipline fails, when our feelings fail, our systems have to catch us. So that's why I tell you guys to decide a few days a week that you're going to study. You know, the other thing that people do besides the time management is they don't actually know what to study. They start resource hopping. They start just skimming through their journeyman prep book, just trying to decide what do they want to study, what should they study. and they don't have a roadmap for where to start, where to finish, and how to know when you're ready. And I want to give that to you guys today. So the two things I want to cover today is one, the time management, and two, finding that roadmap. How do I know where to start? How do I know when I'm ready to take the exam, when I finish? How do I know when I'm done studying? Somebody messaged me the other day and said, hey, I take my exam in 2 days. You know, what should I do the day before? Should I take the day off of work? Should I just put in as much studying as I can? And I asked him, like, hey, have you been studying? Have you put your effort in? Did you finish your prep book? And he said, yeah. I said, the day before, just do some light studying, but relax. Relax. Trust me, if you're going to rely on the day before your exam to do all your studying, you're probably going to fail. Hopefully you pass, but you might fail. You might fail. Because you cannot bulk study a day before and go in with a really high expectation of thinking you're going to pass. You know, that's like, imagine going to anything. You study the day before for a race. You know, you start training the day before, right? You haphazardly trained for a year, here and there, sporadically, whatever it may be. And then the day before, you're just going to, you know, what are you going to do? Just automatically get this endurance and get this strength in your legs to win this race? It's not going to happen. It's the same thing with the exam. You need to have a set structure and system. And once it comes to the day before your exam, you should be able to do a little bit of light studying, and then just relax. Relax. Why? Because you've already prepared for the war. The war is the next day. It'd be better for you to relax, calm your nerves, get some sleep, eat some good food, drink some good coffee, whatever your thing is, and then go on the next day and see what happens. See what happens. Because I guarantee you, if the prior 3 months you've been studying your butt off, you've been working a plan, you have a high chance that you're going to pass. You have a high chance that you're going to pass. And, you know, I remember this story my uncle told me. It was, I think it's like an old Chinese story, one of those stories with a little bit of, you know, wisdom in it. And it was about two guys that get arrested. And the jailers are talking about how we're going to put these guys to death for the crimes that they've committed. How should we put them to death? And it was decided that they were going to make them walk across a big old kind of canyon on a small tightrope the next day, early in the morning. And during the night, one guy was just stressed out. He was just stressed out, and he was trying to figure out, how do I get myself to walk as straight as possible? And he was up all night trying to get himself to walk as straight as possible and to practice his balance so the next day he could try to nail it. The other guy accepted his fate, rested, enjoyed his last night. And the next day in the morning, the first guy said, screw it, let me go first. The guy that was stressing out all night, let me go. I've been practicing all night, let me go. The guy hops on the rope, walks a few steps, and he falls off to his death. The second guy takes a breath, hops up there, starts walking, and he clears the entire thing. And of course, this is a fictitious story. Obviously, they would have probably both died. But it's a fictitious story to kind of show that stressing isn't going to save you. Stressing is not going to change anything. You have to be relaxed. You have to let things happen the way that they're going to happen. You do your best leading up to it, and then you go in and you take your shot. So let's hop into this. Let's say you get a book like this, and I do recommend this one. You got 10 practice tests, and I think it's 9 lessons, and then 2 final exams, 80 questions each. Where would you start in this book? How would you navigate through this bad boy if you're studying? Because a lot of people don't know, and a lot of people not knowing will trip you up, because maybe you kind of have an idea in the beginning, but then you start doubting yourself, right? A bump in the road, you don't feel good anymore about your initial idea, your initial plans. Start at the beginning. Start at the beginning and work your way all the way through. Why? Because you need to know everything in here. You need to learn everything in this bad boy from start to finish. I'm going to tell you this. When you're working your way through it, reading every lesson, doing every practice exam after it, all the way up to the last ones, do the 2 final practice exams, and then what do? Start back from the beginning. Start back from the beginning. Start with the first exam. You don't have to read. You don't have to read anything. Second pass through, you don't have to read anything. Start with the first exam, work all through all 9 exams, and then go take the 2 final exams again. See how you do. The second time you go through it, you're going to record your answers down. You're going to record the scores down. And any test you did not get 80% on, you're going to go back and you're going to redo that test. You're going to go back and you redo that test. If you redo the test and you don't have 80% then, you're going to go back and you're going to read the section on it because there's something you're missing. I'm going to give you guys a little piece of advice. And I guarantee if you guys try that, you guys are going to pass. It's not going to take you 3 months to go through this book. If you give yourself 3 days a week where you're studying for 1 hour a day, 3 days a week, you're going to go through this book in probably a month. Probably less than that, but probably a month. You're going to knock this book out, and then month 2, you'll be able to go through it again, blow through it again. Month 3, you'll be able to pass through it a third time. Pass through it a third time. And you know how ready you're going to be if you go through a book like this 3 times? And it's not that hard. An hour a day, 3 days a week where you're pushing it. I'm going to tell you this though, on the first pass through, do not try to get everything right. I remember when I first started studying the NEC, I didn't realize that you actually have to learn how to navigate it by practicing navigating it. So I would get stuck. That probably didn't make too much sense, but let me explain. I would get a question, and it would take me about 30 minutes to find it. And I'm like, do I even want to try for another question? I'm going to be here for 4 hours before I answer a few questions, and I would get very discouraged. What I should have did was I should have gave myself about 4 or 5 minutes a question. Because you're learning, right? You're not going to be able to answer them fast. 10 minutes max, right? A question. But I would say 5 minutes. Give the 5 minutes a question. See if you can answer it. If you can't find it, guess. Guess and skip. Guess and skip. Because what's going to happen is, as you're looking for each answer, you're getting practice on navigating the code book. You're learning to flip the pages, you're reading different sections, you're familiarizing your brain with it. And then the second pass through, the one that you're actually going to record the score for, you're going to be way better at navigating. You're going to be like, oh, I seen something in the code book. I kind of know where that's at. Let me go look over there. You're going to be able to answer it. The first pass through is just about familiarization. It's the first layer of paint, trying to familiarize yourself with it. The second pass through, you're really trying to hold on to some of that knowledge that you're learning and build on what you have. The third pass through, when you go through it the third time, that's when you're trying to really understand what you're studying. That's where like you're trying to hit the home runs. Now, on the third pass through, if you whatever answers you got wrong, let's say you even got 80% on an exam, you need to go back to the questions you got wrong, and you need to look up the answers and figure out how they got to it. Trust me, this is the number one place when it comes to studying that people overlook and they suffer for it. If you got it wrong, guess what? You didn't know it. If you got the answer wrong, it's because you didn't know it. Do you want to know it? Do you want to learn it? You do that with these questions that you got wrong by going to the back of the book, looking up the answer, and then working backwards from that and saying, how did they get that answer? And see if you can figure it out. Maybe it'll give you a code section. You read that code section, you'll be like, oh, I didn't even know that was there. Maybe it'll be an equation. And you're like, oh, I knew that, but I forgot it. Or I was looking at the question wrong. These are all things that help you get closer to passing the exam, to understanding the code book. So what's my recommendation? At least 3 days a week, maybe 4 days a week. Set those days aside. Decide how long you're going to study, 1 hour. How many days a week? 3 days a week. What are you going to study? A journeyman prep book like this. Just like this. If you want this one, I'm going to have it linked in the description below, the 2020 and 2023, for you to get. It's an affiliation link from Amazon, so we do get a little benefit from it. It helps us here at the podcast, but it's because I highly recommend this. I hand selected it from Amazon. After you set up your structure for study, and I talked about this, so I don't want to beat this dead horse. The importance of setting up this structured study time is so that you can have all that surrounding time for doing everything else you need to do, taking care of business in life. Schedule your life around your studying. Do you got to say no to overtime? Maybe. Screw it. Better to get that journeyman license than that little bit of overtime now, because the money you're going to make and the opportunity that's going to open is going to overshadow that overtime. Don't sacrifice your future for a little bit of overtime right now. Maybe you can't take little mama out, or maybe you can't go out on that date because, it's the day you're supposed to study. Have some structure on your time. Learn to manage your time and when you're going to study. Learn to manage your time on how long you spend on each question. Learn to manage your time. Trust me, it's going to benefit you. It's like a muscle that you're working out, and it's going to get stronger and stronger the more that you do it. Don't overdo it. Don't try to do 7 days a week. Even if you do, let's say 1 week you're like, man, I don't got much to do this week. I'm gonna study all 7 days. That's fine. That's fine. But you don't have to do it. You need to have at least 3 days minimum that are mandatory studying days. The same time, you're gonna study the same time each of those days. You're gonna study in the same place on each of those days. Study the same prep material on each of those days. Just moving further along through it. Trust me, if you guys could do that, you will be so ready to take the journeyman exam, and you're going to feel so confident, because once you start seeing that score go up and you start figuring these things out and you start working through those areas you're struggling on, this is how you pass exams. This is how you learn. You don't just do a few practice exams and hope for the best. You got to read the material, you got to do the practice exams, then you got to go back and redo the practice exams. You got to solidify that information in your mind. And that has a lot to do with the time management and having that roadmap. That roadmap is, I know where I'm going to start at the beginning of this book, and I know where I'm going to finish 3 months later, having gone through this book 3 times, having went back and looked at the answers I got wrong. Having went back and looked at the answers that I got wrong and figured them out. All right, guys, so that's going to be it for today. That's just my recommendation on how to do it. You want to take a book like this and you want to pass in 3 months? Do that. Do it. Then come back and let me know how you did. Let me know how you did. If you guys benefited from this podcast, please share this with somebody either in your in your apprenticeship or on your job site that you think would benefit from it. We are partnered with Ask Bonbon. Ask Bonbon, I'll probably pop them up like right here. This is an AI app made for navigating the NEC if you're studying. Specifically, if you're studying, it gets quite difficult to answer some of these questions, and it could take a long time trying to figure out certain things that just aren't clicking. And a lot of times you can just ask that question to Bonbon and it will tell you the answer and give you a description of how to get to that answer. So you're learning as you're using the app, and it's free. It's free. You can't beat that price. There's a paid version, but the paid version is for more like calculations, like load calculations and stuff like that. Very useful, but the free version is still incredibly useful. I recommend everybody have it. I'm gonna have that linked below. Check them out. It's Ask Bonbon. Also, if you are a contractor and you're listening to this because you just love the Young Electrician Podcast, Jobber. We are partnered with Jobber, and what Jobber does is they automate a lot of that stuff that you don't want to take care of. A lot of times we think, man, I'm going to become a contractor, I'm going to make money, it's going to be easier, and you end up wearing like 5 different hats. And I guarantee you, if you start using Jobber, you could try 14 days free. If you start using Jobber, you're going to see the relief that it adds to you, the pressure that it takes off of you when you have this app or this, I don't even know what to call it, you have this website, you have Jobber working for you, and people could schedule with them without you even having to hop on the phone. It could give prices to people. It could follow up with people. It could follow up with your old clients to try to sell them new services. You get that up for reaching out to old customers and making new sales. It is awesome. I recommend trying it. And something that I think is super cool, I don't see a lot of companies doing, is Jobber will actually set up a call with you after you sign up to walk you through how to use their system, which is super beneficial. Even though it's not a super complicated system, having somebody walk you through it and show you all the features is just priceless. So go check out Jobber, 14 days free, and then you'll get it at a discounted price for a few months after that. Also, the new ebook, the free ebook, I'll pop that up here too. That is out. I'm gonna have that linked in the description below. Also, if you guys want any of my recommendations on Journeyman Prep Book, resources, material. I'm going to have that linked in the description below. They are through Amazon affiliate. I'm an Amazon affiliate now. So we do benefit from it. We do get some money when you make a purchase through there. But these are things that I hand selected because I know they work. And it also benefits the podcast because it puts money in our pocket to do do the podcast and bring great content like this to you guys. So with that said, take care, guys. Best of luck, and I'll see you on the next one.